You're listening to the Business Building Rockstars Show, where your host, Nicole Holland, gets the lowdown from today's most talented, inspiring, and successful entrepreneurs on what it really takes to reach rockstar status.
Hey, this is Nicole Holland, and you're listening to episode number 21 of the Business Building Rockstars Show. Today's episode is sponsored by the Business Building Rockstar Summit 2015. Each year in November, from the 1st to the 30th, I host the Business Building Rockstar Summit. This past year, the 2015 inaugural Business Building Rockstar Summit featured today's guest, Jay Fiset, as one of the 30 rockstar experts that shared in-depth, actionable strategies for how to build and grow an online business. Even though the Business Building Rockstar Summit 2015 is over, you can still catch all of the great training by visiting bbrshow.com/BBRS 2015. That's where you're going to find a massive library with over 17 hours of training. Everything from online business basics and email marketing to writing books, being on TV, and hosting masterminds. Again, bbrshow.com/BBRS 2015 is where there is more information about that. And like I said, today's guest is Mr. Jay Fiset, who is one of my favorite people. He's got a fantastic sense of humor and is just an absolutely brilliant man, in addition to having one of the biggest hearts of anyone I know. Jay and I talked about the importance of work-life balance, personal mission statements, and why the law of attraction doesn't actually work the way most people want it to. I'm super excited to bring you this episode, and I hope you'll have as much fun listening as I did recording. Hey there, entrepreneur. This is Nicole Holland, and you're listening to the Business Building Rockstars Show. Today, I am hanging out with my friend, Jay Fiset. Jay is a best-selling author, student of human nature, avid outdoorsman at 5-star hotels. He speaks fluent smartass. He can see and reflect your life mission back in 5 minutes flat. True story. He loves having 2 sons so he can play with their toys. He still fantasizes about his wife after 25 years. He loves ideas, but loves results even more. And simultaneously laugh and cry for different reasons at the same time. Jay's never been starstruck, but of course he did not get a chance to meet Martin Luther King Jr. And if he had, he would have been like a teenage girl screaming. Jay is dedicated to instigating a global movement of conscious creators and supporting people to organize their life and their resources around their passion and gifts. So, before we get into the good stuff, I have just one question for you, Mr. Fiset. Are you ready to rock?
That brings me back to my teenage years, so I'll say yes. And I'll try not to bang my head.
Awesome. All right, so let's do this. So first I want to ask you, you have been in business for a very long time. You're very, very well respected in your field. And I'm wondering about if we can go way back to childhood, before you were an entrepreneur, before you were changing the world in mass. What did you want to be when you grew
up? That's a really great question. I don't think that I was ever so interested in what I wanted to, quote, be, so much as there was just a whole bunch of things that I wanted to do. So, if we were to go back, probably it would be like race car driver. I always had a thing for cars, and me and my childhood best friend Fritz would, take every opportunity we could to get behind the wheel of something and drive it as fast and as dangerous and silly as we possibly could. So it would probably have been a race car driver. That would have been, my answer for a very, very, very long time.
Very cool. And so going back, but like fast forward just a little bit, what was your first foray into entrepreneurship?
You know what? So to put this in perspective, I bought my first bicycle, I bought my first motorcycle, I bought my first car, all from picking bottles in the ditches of Saskatchewan.
Nice.
So me and my best friend Fritz again, we would had a little system with with a hockey stick and 2 gunny sacks that we would pull like mules and just fill them and walk 3, 4, 5 miles out of town, leave them there, hitch a ride back to town. One of our dads would come pick them up and we'd go sell the bottles. And so that picking beer bottles. And for those of you who, I don't know, are a little younger, in the olden days, as my children would say about my childhood, in the olden days, it was pretty common practice to drink and drive out in Saskatchewan particularly. And given that we were so environmentally conscious at the time, if you were finished your beer, there was only one thing to do with it, which was you'd throw it out into the ditch. And then silly kids like us would go pick up those bottles, recycle them, and buy bikes and motorcycles and all those sorts of things. So it'd be that. We raked leaves, we shoveled walks, we did all of those things. Fritz and I restored our first car, going back to the car thing, when we were actually 12 years old, and sold it and made like $800. We thought we were billionaires. So we were always doing something. But do you want to hear a fun one though? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So my dad sold cars for this place called Standard Motors in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. And he came home this one time and he had this box of black, and I remember them so specifically. They were black at the top end, at the bottom end, and gold at the top end. And we were pretty sure it was real gold, me and Fritz. These beautiful pens. And of course, they were promo pens that Dad was going to give away. But we thought we'd have a much better idea. So we went door to door in our little town, Sceptre, Saskatchewan. Keep in mind, there's like 60 people there, 15 houses. I'm exaggerating slightly, but not by much. So we go door to door selling Dad's pens because we think these are the most beautiful pens ever. And I don't know, in an afternoon, I think we made like $32 or something like that.
So people bought the pens.
People totally bought the pens. This is a town that you just got to keep in mind. This is a town that people would leave their keys in their car and their house open in case somebody needed one.
Yeah.
Right? And if you went to somebody's house and you make a sandwich, just clean the counter. It's that kind of a place. So I'm sure they all thought it was pretty funny. It's like Paul's kids selling his pens. So we made great money. And again, Fritz and I thought we'd sort of hit the jackpot until my dear old dad found out. And then I had to go and give everybody their money back,
Nice.
which was my first experience of refunds, which I wasn't so keen on, to be perfectly honest.
So you learned some serious, big lessons back then.
Well, yeah, I've always had a penchant for entertaining lessons.
So Fritz, he was a big part of this early entrepreneurial development. Where is he now? Is he an entrepreneur as well?
Actually, he is. And so he's in Medicine Hat. He owns a siding and exterior development company, does stunningly well. But yeah, again, we've been friends for our entire lives, like 50 years, and still see each other regularly. And he's a good, sharp guy.
Very cool. And you have a very silly bio, which is very appropriate for your personality. But why don't you fill in the blanks and tell us a little bit more about what you're doing today?
Oh, good Lord. We are really in a, I've been in this world for about 27 years. But in a very real sense, I feel like we're in the midst of a rebirth and a recreation and about to take off in a manner that, 5 or 6 years ago, I would never have even comprehended. But in essence, we run 3 specific brands, one of which is the Creators Code, which is a personal development and transformation company that has been going on for about 27 years. And I love that work, and it transforms people's lives. And we have about 40,000 graduates from all over the world. And currently we're delivering courses in Canada, Australia, the United States, some requests for Europe, Germany, and England. So that's been moving along sort of same old. What's been really exciting is we've been doing in the last year a ton of work around this thing called Mastermind to Millions, where we have a program that is called the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp, where we help subject matter experts, entrepreneurs, authors, and coaches break the time for money bind by, instead of doing one-on-one work, to create mastermind groups and community around their given gift or contribution. Love that work, and we have a tremendous group of people moving and shaking there. And then our third area is something that we call JVology, the perfect mix of people, fun, and profit. And that's basically where we bring people together from all sorts of different industries who are interested in joint venturing and growing and scaling their business in using all sorts of joint venture things. I mean, some of the obvious is the online marketing world, but it isn't always online. Sometimes it's offline, sometimes it's in person, sometimes it's through co-writing books. I mean, the range of joint ventures is stunning and amazing. And that process, we're just in the middle of scaling and training summit hosts to lead those same types of events under our license. And, I think with all of those 3 things, basically we could safely say that I've not been a slack ass for the last 9 months. It's been a little busy.
Definitely not. And I actually came and hung out with you at one of your events in December in Vegas. And I'm looking at Facebook and I'm like, holy cannoli. Because before that event, you were like all over the place on the plane by yourself out of Abbotsford or something. Kind of funny whole other story.
That was the weirdest thing.
It was a little freaky. But you're like everywhere. You and your business partner are everywhere. And I'm just like, wow, this is a busy, busy man.
Well, and just to be frank, we have recently we've hired 3 new staff members. The team is scaling. We've attracted some stunning and brilliant people who I'm just epically grateful for. And my objective, just so that we're clear, is July and August I'm going to disappear, and me and the family are going to go for an adventure, and I won't talk to anybody again until September. So if you email in that time frame, you'll know Jay's not answering.
That's awesome. That's so important, Day, that work-life balance. So you are just an absolute go-getter, and you also disconnect. What do you think the biggest self-care or the best self-care strategy you have? I don't even know.
I'm laughing because I've been sick for the past 4 days. That's why I keep hacking here. It's like, if I knew that, I wouldn't have been sick. Who the hell? More drugs?
Okay, but you know how to manage your time, that even though you got under the weather, it happens, but you are a happy person. You are fulfilled. You have a very well-rounded life. You enjoy the business that you have. You enjoy your family. Everybody who knows you feels valued by you. How do you do that?
Oh, goodness. So number one is a really good question. And if I were to go back in time, I would say the single most significant tool or resource or alignment process was, probably like 23 years ago, 24 years ago. I wrote my personal mission statement. And the declaration of a really well-written mission statement. And we actually have a program about it. I bonus it in our 90-day program, all those things that naturally evolved out of me doing it, then leading one-on-one clients through it. And then it was like, you know what, we should just do this at a larger scale. But here's the essence of it, is that stand fundamentally makes every single decision about who I want to be for the rest of my life. And it's not a question. I don't spend a bunch of time around should I, shouldn't I, does it fit, doesn't it fit? None of that shit really matters. Is I actually decided about 23 years ago how I wanted it to be. And my question and the challenges that I face is only about developing and mustering the courage to be that person in that circumstance. And as I've gotten a little bit older and a little bit clearer and, poquito, a little bit wiser, that has become easier and easier and easier for me. And, in the big picture is that I don't make much space for negativity. I don't make, and by the way, and I do not mean denial, because sometimes when people are talking about it, it's like, oh, I'm not going to have a negative thought. And it's like, nice. But what I mean about it is that, this is a longer conversation, is that it is imperative to be fundamentally honest and truthful with myself about what is going on. And if what is going on isn't in alignment with who I want to be and the experiences that I want to have in my life, then I need to have a good hard look at it and figure out what needs to be done, what needs to be shifted within my own heart, mind, and soul, what needs to be adjusted in terms of my environment, and how do I get myself back on track with all of those pieces. And that is founded with, my words, authentic experience without getting stuck, which is early warning signs. This ain't quite right. We need to adjust something. And so I just really have done a lot around designing my life very deliberately, around doing that which I truly genuinely love, and being with people I deeply care about. Like when those things are in place, the rest of it's pretty damn easy, honestly. Does that answer make sense to you? For
sure. Yeah, totally. I love it. And, you kind of had this epiphany, if you will, like 23 years ago, right? But it didn't just all of a sudden now, okay, you've got this mission statement and everything's easy and breezy. Like you've hit you've hit roadblocks along the way, right? And I think your business has evolved over this time too. You weren't doing the same things 2 years ago that you're doing now. You weren't doing the same thing 10 months ago in some ways. And so you're continuously evolving. And for a lot of the listeners, they're thinking about their business and they've started their business and they've been told, they've heard lots of messages about how you have to stay on track and you got to keep chugging through and push through. And what I love in watching your journey and in learning more about you and being in your presence, it's like you're so fluid. And I wonder if you can speak to what would you tell somebody who, if they're coming to you and they're saying, okay, Jay, I'm really excited and I know what I want to do and I've got this vision and I know how I want to help the world. I know what my gift is. I'm so excited and I'm going to do it. And then they start doing it and they're like doing it regardless of all the circumstances that are happening. Do you have any tips?
Oh, goodness. This is a good conversation, by the way. I was delivering the gift in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago, and there was a woman who I really, really like. But she was frustrated and challenged because she had been doing it for 6 months. And after 6 months, it still wasn't working the way she thought it should work. And the implication was that perhaps this thing about law of attraction doesn't work. and I'm giggling because it was funny. But I just must share with you what I said to her is that, in the scope of entrepreneurship and creating a business from scratch, 6 months is approximately equivalent to a fart in the wind. And not much more. And it was like, oh, that can't be true. It was 6 months of my life and I did everything and I believed and, whatever the law of attraction shit is. And I want to be clear about this is that the law of attraction I fully believe in. It is working all the time. The question is paying attention to what we're attracting. And if what we're attracting isn't the result that we want, it's not the law's fault. Even if you consciously think that it was like, but no, I was in perfect alignment. So in a nutshell, the reason I share this is that many entrepreneurs start the process blind to feedback and environment. And I think the single greatest thing that would have made my life easier, that would have accelerated my process, it took me 15 years to break 7 figures. The last time in a completely new brand, I did it in 7 months. But that's because of team. That's because of coaching. That is because of community. That is because of listening. That is because of learning. That is because I'm still a student. That is like all of those pieces. So doing is not enough. Who you are being is the foundational component. And this idea of I'm just going to do this for 6 months and it's going to work. If you cannot attract a client, if in the world of masterminds, if somebody says yes and then runs away, and you can't maintain a community around you, it's not about what you're doing. It's about who you're being. And it is time to look in the mirror. It is time to do some soul searching. It is time to release some limiting beliefs. It is time to actually do the work that matters. And that is our personal transformation. And what I ask people to consider is this. I believe that our businesses and our entrepreneurial ventures are the world's most perfectly designed personal development programs. For this simple reason is that all of us design our personal problems into our business. We all design our personal problems into our business. There's no other way to go about it. And our business then has the opportunity to reflect those problems back to us, which we can't see because we are living them. But we can sure see the problem in our business. We don't have enough sales. We don't have enough clients. I'm attracting people that I don't necessarily want to attract. This feels like it's a whole lot more work than it's actually worth. I actually now am having some degree of success, but I just discovered that I really hate this one-on-one coaching thing. All of that is nothing more than designing our personal problems into our business. Now, if we're conscious and awake enough to go, what does that mean about me? Now we have a tool and a resource and a process that not only can make us money, but helps us evolve. But this idea of my business is this thing over here that doesn't have much to do with me, and if it would just spit out money, I'd be happy. Bullshit. And it is unconscious marketing. And I, would implore anyone who's having a little bit of trouble in their business to stop wearing your ass as a hat and ask the question, what does this mean about me? Okay, I'll end my rant. Sorry, I get carried away on that.
No, I love it. And I think that's just, it's so profound. And I know that our listeners are going to get huge value out of that. And hopefully we'll listen again and again because, people don't talk about this. Marketers don't talk about this.
Oh, it's not convenient for marketers. Let's be clear about this.
Absolutely not convenient. And it's one of the hardest things for me in working with people. And one of the things that kind of pushed me to this different model is trying to convince people of this. And you can't. You just can't. So it's like you're going to have an awakening if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to Jay and you're like, yes, that's so true. That's awesome. Listen again and again and again because you still don't get it. Yes. And when you get it, that flip switches and everything changes. And like you said, it's not like money's going to start pouring in. No, but you're going to be so aligned with your message and you're going to understand exactly what you have to do. And you're not going to be looking externally and saying, is this right? Is this right? I'm doing this. It's not working. You're just going to do it and everything's going to work. And you're going to see things like that $11 affiliate payment coming into your PayPal account. And you'll be like, woohoo, I'm attracting the $1 million I want. Not, I only got $11, right? And so I think that it's such a big shift that has to happen. And I think no matter how we articulate it, if you don't get it, you just don't get it. And so my mission is to keep sharing that message because my people, I want you to get it. You will get it if you're open to it.
So I have a tool, by the way, that is one of the most powerful in the world on this exact note that most people hate because how's that for it? That was great marketing right there.
Absolutely. Don't get this tool because you are not ready.
But if you were, it's one of the most powerful in the universe, which is this. Whatever the result is in your business, in your life, it is this. Answer this question. What must I believe to have this result? Now, both consciously and less than consciously. And this is a difficult thing to do on your own. It's one of the reasons I believe in mastermind groups and coaches and transformational programs, because we've got to get outside of ourselves. But if you can answer the question, what must I believe to have this result? Both consciously and less than consciously, suddenly a whole different bit of conversation opens up. And if you can't quite get there, just try this. Is that this one phrase, which is based on results. Okay, not based on the story, not based on the fact that Trump's winning the primaries, not based on the weather, not based on Mercury being in Gatorade, not based on my client is an asshole, not based on any of those sorts of things, just based on results. The result of how happy are you with your business? The results of how much money are you actually making? The results of do you have happy clients? The results of your overall satisfaction in your life. Based on those results, you simply ask the question, is who I am being and what I am doing working? And it's a very simple yes or no if you're telling the truth. That's it. And if the answer is yes, hell's bells, do more of that. And if the answer is no, what needs to adjust? What support do I need? What else do I need to learn? What would my next step and stage be? And when those are answered honestly, there is no more of this, I'm stuck, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm spinning. And then, of course, the blame happens, and then the self-justification happens, and then the it's not going to work happens, and then the fill out a job application happens. But that one sentence, if you can be honest about it, based on results, that tells the whole story.
I love that. And I think that if people are ready to do that, go for it. And when you get those results, be gentle on yourself.
Oh, yes.
Don't beat yourself up because you were wrong or because you spent 6 months in this business putting everything in and now you realize that you were not being authentic or you need to do something else. Give yourself a break and appreciate that you're there now.
It is an evolution, yes. Well, I wrote a book called Reframe Your Blame, How to Be Personally Accountable. And in it is one of my many, quote, failures, mistakes, challenges. But literally I had $1 million disappear in a Ponzi scheme where the guy who was running this trading fund hung himself in his basement while his child was upstairs sleeping and his wife went to get groceries. And when he died, our money disappeared with him. So the irony to that is that experience, which goddamn near killed us. Let's be clear about it. It was like it was every liquid red cent of money I had on planet Earth. Also turned out to be one of the single greatest things that ever happened in my life. And that book, by the way, in a short span of time afterwards, went on to sell, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $4 million. So it actually became pretty profitable too. But what I want you to be clear about is that that evaluation of results is, and you said this, and I just want to echo the point, is not for the purpose of berating or making ourselves right about it's too hard or it can't be done or I failed. That's not what it's about. It is about an honest acceptance of what is, with the question, and what will it take to adjust these results? The results aren't lying. So if I want different results, what is that going to take? What must I believe to have these different results? What support must I engage to create this leap forward? What community must I participate in to actually begin to, absorb by osmosis this possibility that this could be joyful and easy and aligned with my heart and soul, and I get to hang out with amazing people and drink wine in Vegas and have some fun, and get paid for that. That's a good gig,
Good gig indeed. Well, beautiful. I could sit here and yap with you all day long. However, I know you got things to do and places to be. So we're going to start wrapping up. I've got a few questions before we do, and then I'll turn it over to you to let people know how they can get in touch with you and get more information from you. But let's see. So, what question to ask you? I already know so many, but okay, I don't know. You might surprise me. Favorite book of all time?
Oh,
I think we share the same one, no?
I don't know the answer. I don't know what your favorite book of all time is. I'll tell you one of the. I'm a weird guy, so I'll tell you one of the most meaningful for me was actually 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it was that book that was the impetus for me crafting my first mission statement, and it was actually a template and an example in there that I crafted mine, and I've been teaching it for almost 30 years now. So that had a pivotal influence on me for sure. Obviously, Think and Grow Rich in terms of mastermind stuff is a seminal work. I got to tell you, first time I read it, I thought it was the weirdest dumb shit in the universe. But I have certainly come to love and appreciate it and review it regularly. Those are certainly some of my really meaningful ones. I'll tell you an odd one. George Leonard, The Silent Pulse. It was the first book I ever read that triggered a absolutely life-altering spiritual experience for me. First time that ever happened through a book. And I recommend it to all kinds of people because it's a common experience with the book. It's quite fascinating and astounding.
Nice. Yeah, I thought you were going to say Think and Grow Rich, so 1 for 3.
Well, you only asked for one. It's like, whoa.
No, 3's great. 3's great. So you're not much of an online guy, right?
More so in the last year than ever.
So what's your favorite online tool?
Oh, man. I'd have to say actually Facebook.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, it's just that, there's so many things to say about it. Short version is that I started on Facebook, I don't know why it was, so over a decade ago. I started for business purposes, and I was very expressly clear about this was for a business purpose only. We started advertising and actually knocking it out of the park there back when you can get a lead for 22 cents. That was quite exciting. But what I'm finding today is that, number one, it is simply the greatest aggregation of profiles, targeting, and capacity to reach people at the right time with the right message that has ever existed in the history of humanity. If we just went back 15 or 20 years, you would need to be spending millions of dollars with Nielsen's to get only a tiny fraction of this information, and only the biggest players in the universe could do it. And the truth is, you, me, and any other entrepreneur, those people sitting at home listening, please understand this. You have a better tool and a greater advantage this very second through Facebook to find your client than any entrepreneur has had since the beginning of time up to 5 years ago. So when I hear people say, I don't know where to find a client, it's like, look, they're not hiding behind a freaking bush. Jesus Christ, they are everywhere. And Facebook has been tracking their likes for the past 12 years. Run an ad, for Christ's sake. They're not hard to find. So, that the power of that tool, when I look back over my 27 years, it's kind of like, here, silver platter, spend $5, get client. Spend $5, get client. That just didn't exist before. So, and by the way, I'm an Infusionsoft trusted partner. I use ClickFunnels. We use Lead Pages. We use more plugins than you can possibly shake a stick at. I'm a fan of, there's a million other tools, but they're just tools. But when it comes to finding your client, what they're interested in, and being able to reach them where they're at and what they're doing, good God, it's amazing. Thank you.
Because a lot of people, I think, feel like social media, they have these restrictions in their mind about what they can and can't do and all. And yes, totally self-imposed. So that's awesome. Jay, how can people find out more about you, get in touch, and all that good stuff?
Well, apparently I'm everywhere. So hang out on a street corner. I'll walk by eventually. Probably the easiest is just go to my blog, which is jayfiset.com, jayfiset.com. Usually whatever we're up to or what's coming up next, I'll have a post or two about. That's probably the easiest. Just go there. I'd be happy to serve and connect. And there's all kinds of events and programs and processes that we do to support entrepreneurs, and we'd love to support you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a blast.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me as always.
Sure thing. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, make sure to subscribe on iTunes so that you don't miss another episode. And if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, it's super easy to do when you subscribe on iTunes. Also, we're on Stitcher. And of course, you can visit bbrshow.com for all of the episodes, show notes, and more. I would love to hear what you think about today's episode by leaving a review on iTunes, or also you can go to bbrshow.com, and on our show notes page, there is a comment section. Dear listeners, I do this show for you. So the more you let me know what you love, the more I can bring you that. Don't forget that the Business Building Rockstar Show releases every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 times per week, you can listen in to what the journey towards rockstar status entrepreneurship is really like. Until next time, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I look forward to connecting again real soon.
And there you have it. If you enjoyed this episode of the Business Building Rockstars Show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss a thing. And visit bbrshow.com for all the show notes and links to resources discussed on today's show. Plus, lots more.